Hello and welcome back to another G.I. Joe review. Today we will be looking at the Dollar General Storm Shadow. But just like Snake Eyes, he's not the version 1, but rather the version 2. So instead of this awesome looking white and black, it is instead orange and white. This guy, he is my only Storm Shadow, which find kind of sad as there are like a ton of much better ones. And I also have a major problem with his hands because he can't really hold his weapons. Like right there, I just gave his sword a nice little tap and it fell off. And I also think the colors of his suit are a bit weird because it's sort of this how would I call it? I guess you could say, okay, you know those puddings that schools give out during like Thanksgiving time, that like pumpkin pudding or whatever? It's sort of like that kind of orange, so it's not really that very satisfying, but I do like the white on him. So anyway, like last time, let's go through accessories first. So starting off, he's got this base, which yet again doesn't have his name on it because it is of the Dollar General line. It's got the Cobra logo instead of the G.I. Joe logo, showing you that he is of the Cobra Corps, or however you'd call it. Set it off to the side. Take a look at his sword, which honestly I gotta say I prefer over Snake Eyes, just because this blue does look nicer. Sadly, it doesn't fit in his hand. Now, let me get his bow thingy out. So here's his bow thingy. I guess it's just a regular bow, no arrows, unless that's an arrow. It's nice looking. I don't usually display him with it out because I prefer my Storm Shadow with swords, but to each their own. Now, to get into articulation. So let me get him straightened up, and then we'll get into articulation. Alright, so now we're back. Time to take a look at his articulation. He's got a 360 at the head, not even hindered, looks up that far and down that far. His downward look could be a bit hindered by the hood, but, you know, let's see. Okay, so he looks up that far, which is a bit better, and down that far, so, yeah, he's not really too hindered by the hood. He's got a hinge at the shoulder so he can go that far up, that far down. A 360. He's got a hinge at the elbow and a swivel at the elbow. And he's got a swivel and hinge at the wrist. At the waist, he's got the waist rotation. It can go forward that far, back that far. For leg articulation, he goes that far forward, that far back, yet again hindered by the bet. And since it's on a ball joint, it can go out that far, not as far as the Snake Eyes I reviewed last time. And he's got double jointed knees. I guess that could be, or I would say that is about 90 degrees. And he's got a swivel and hinge at the foot. So overall, decent articulation, is a bit hindered in places, but he does have a hinge at the wrist, which Snake Eyes did not have last time. So let me get him posed back up and do some comparisons. Okay, so now we've got them all posed up. Now time for some comparisons. Starting off, we will do the Resolute Cobra Commander. Very nice, very nice. He looks really nice next to Resolute Cobra Commander. In fact, that's how I have him in my display. Let's set up Cobra Commander off to the side. Next, my Standard Duke. Very nice, very nice. I really like how Duke looks, but we'll get into him another time. After Duke, we got my second Joe that I ever got, my Loose Bat. They look really great together. Nice contrasts with the black and white. And finally, the only other Dollar General figure I have, the Dollar General Snake Eyes. They look good together. Now, let's get into final thoughts. Now, my final thoughts on this figure is, it is a good figure, but I'm not sure if I'd consider it a Storm Shadow figure, as the colors are just a bit weird with that weird school pudding orange. And another thing I find a bit weird is that it's Storm Shadow, but he's got full sleeves, even though Storm Shadow is usually seen without sleeves. Other than that, I like this figure. I say if you can find him, pick him up if you want him. I wouldn't say pick him up as a Storm Shadow. I'd rather say pick up the version 1 if you're trying to go for the Dollar General figures. But other than that, I say get him if you want. That is it for the video. If you liked it, please leave a like and comment. Tell me what you think. And see you next time.